Hello once again, I am Taylor Koch with Esports Weekly with Coca-Cola. We are sitting in the Coca-Cola Lounge here at the League of Legends World Championship, and I am here with Spawn and Quickshot. I'm just going to ask them. I was really impressed with some of the wildcard teams this World Championship. I just want to know, what do you think of these teams so far?
Yeah, well, obviously Penn Gaming came into the World Championship. They were very hyped from a wildcard region, and they had the best performance ever. Bangkok Titans a little bit more disappointing, but still a growing region. So we expect good things in the future, and hopefully CBLOL can continue to step up.
What do you think is going to happen for these wildcard teams to really, really compete going into the next World Championship?
I think, unfortunately, right now it is just a little bit of time. They're very young regions. Some of them still getting their servers, like the Japan region. Oceania also very new. So I think that it is a little bit of time, but also being able to experience events like this, get that international experience, take it back home, just makes them get better very quickly.
I also think the international wildcard circuit that is continuing to now grow and spin up around the wildcard regions is going to give some of that international stage experience that none of these teams were getting before World Championships, right? So these guys are going to get high-pressure moments to figure out who's going to crack and who's not.
So what do you think these players are going to take back from this World Championship here? What are they going to be able to take back to their home regions and really improve on?
Don't make mistakes and you can win games. I think the biggest narrative of this entire World Championship has been the teams that are consistent and that don't get caught out of position are the teams that have made it to finals most of the time. Because every time there's this giant upset or these big exciting games, it's because somebody's messed up something in game. And I think that's one of the biggest things I'm looking at for people to fix going forward.
And that's really why these Korean teams are here. They make the fewest mistakes, and that has led to them getting into the finals. Quickshot for you. What are you hoping that the European teams, who obviously got knocked out in the semifinals, what do you think these European teams need to do in order to make that final leap into the World Finals?
Well, 2 teams in the top 4 is a pretty big success, especially when you consider Origin was only made at the beginning of the year. So, they went from Challenger to World Championship. Coup Tigers in a similar vein. But for the European teams in particular, I'm hoping the other teams that are not Fnatic and Origin are looking at them going, how do we emulate what Fnatic and Origin did? And then if those teams can emulate it, that's how EU gets a higher level of competition to actually not fold under the pressure in a semifinal stage.
So you think the other teams coming up is really what's going to advance the region into the higher echelons?
Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Part of the reason SKT and even Coup Tigers are here now is because the rest of the teams in their league are producing bigger challenges in a wider variety of ways. And that's something that when you look at some of the teams in the EU and NALCS regions, they're not giving the top tier teams a real enough test. And I think once you have that depth of ability, it raises the overall bar.
So for both of you guys, what do you think is the most exciting thing at this tournament looking forward to the future of League of Legends?
I honestly think that the way the European teams were able to emulate fantastic coaching, great pick ban strategies, and play 2 very different styles of League of Legends. Origin play around their bottom lane, Huni played around their top lane, that's for Fnatic, actually showed that there is a depth of, not on the Rift performance that we knew was there, but behind the scenes performance starting to grow in the West, which means that eventually they will get to the stage that we start cracking back into the grand final. So that, coupled with how well the Korean teams still were able to play this season with everything they went through, just meant that it was this big melting pot. And obviously SKT is still looking like a dominant team, but below that #1 place was just so many other teams so close to each other.
I agree, and I want to echo the sentiment of the infrastructure behind the Western teams is now continuing to grow. Both Origin and Fnatic have got great analysts, great coaches. On the Fnatic side, they've even got lifestyle guys in the background that help them with cooking and making sure they go to gym. And it's these sort of things that are elevating the Western teams to similar levels to what you're seeing in China and Korea and even Taiwan in some squads. And I think that as that continues to grow up, we're going to see more of that parity between the teams.
So as we watch SKT dominate their way through the tournament, what exactly makes that team so good? Why is SKT so dominant
He's
here?
the analyst. Ask him.
They don't back down. SKT is one of the few teams on the map that they will not give up anything. They pressure 3 lanes simultaneously, which means that when teams make a play on 1 lane, they generally have 2 things that they can do in response, and they always pick the better of those 2 things. So you'll see when Coup commit 5 people to a lane, they've got Bang pushing down the bottom lane turret, takes 2 turrets in that game. they're just able to respond to aggression in a really fantastic way because how they set up the lanes of the map. And it's very impressive to watch because game 1, they did it with 3 losing lanes. And I can't stress that enough. They beat KOO around the map with 3 losing lanes, which is just absolutely insane.
It should not happen, and it does.
It's been extremely impressive to watch this team so far. And thank you guys so much for sitting down with us. We are Esports Weekly. Make sure to follow us on Twitter with hashtag Esports Weekly, and we will continue to follow up with more esports coverage here at Worlds.